Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. Time for DC Spotlight for the week of July 22nd, 2026. Happy Comic Con to all who celebrate. As you can see, I look much different than usual. I'm doing this from a hotel room, so hopefully the Wi Fi holds up. Hopefully, it's a little bit of a different setup. So, apologies to everybody if it's not up to the usual standards. Things look a little, I mean, everything's looking a little blurry to me right now, but hopefully we don't have any issues. So anyway, I want to start it off by saying if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, make sure you're following the Comic Source on social media to get all the news. Now, typically I live tweet every panel for DC. That being said, this year some of the panels are conflicting with some of the DC interviews I have. So I love to live tweet the panels because a lot of people, it's the closest they can get to ever coming to San Diego. You find out the news the same time as the people in the room, which is not always the case. But that being said, if I have a chance to, for instance, interview Christopher Cantwell this year about his Gotham Central series at the same time the DC Next Level panel is going on, I'm going to interview Christopher Cantwell because I'm going to get stuff that nobody else gets. As opposed to, yeah, I'm sorry I'm not live tweeting the panel and getting you the news as soon as I can, but you're going to get all the news from the panel eventually. You might just not get it as quickly as you would otherwise. So, again, apologies for that, but that's just the way. Like DC, typically they don't schedule interviews during their panels, but this year they did, and so that's just is what it is. The other thing I want to mention is I have Comic Source Weekly T-shirts. Here, let me show you what they look like.
Right on.
They're really
Woo.
awesome. I wore one. You can see there. Comic
I'm going
Source
to have to
Weekly.
buy one off you. You're going to have to send me one up there, buddy.
So I've got these to give away at the show. I've got about 20 of them. I want to give
Oh,
them all
okay.
away. I
All
don't
right.
want to take any home.
Fair
No,
enough.
Rocky, I saved one. I made like 24 of them.
Oh, okay.
So I got one. I got one with your name on it back in Phoenix. I'll have to ship it to you. So how do you win? How do you win the T-shirt? Again, make sure you're following the Comic Source on social media. You find me at the show and you tell me the secret phrase. Now I love DC. You guys know I love DC. It's been a lot harder to love Marvel lately, but I do feel like they're on the upswing. I talked about that on the latest episode of the Comic Source Weekly, how they're doing a lot of things better. Daredevil's been kicking butt, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, a lot of good stuff. Infernal Hulk now, I guess, from PKJ. So they're on the upswing as well. But there are independent publishers that are doing a fantastic job as well. And so I want to shout out Ignition Press. What they are doing with their Ignition Pavilion and their first time they're exhibiting inside the show at San Diego is incredible. If you haven't been seeing the announcements, go over to Ignition Press website, check it out. Check out the latest episode of Comic Source Weekly. I talk about some of the announcements, just banger after banger of announcements. Partnered up with eBay Live. They're going to have Bill Sienkiewicz sketching inside the Ignition Pavilion. They're going to have Jim Lee doing eBay Live with some sketches. Um, they're having Revenge of TV, which is a spinoff of the Revenge of Pop Culture comic book shop in Eagle Rock, Southern California. And they're gonna. So it's a big thing. Ignition Press is killing it. So I wanted to kind of shout them out and also ride their coattails a little bit. And so the way you win a shirt is you make sure you're following the Comic Source on social media. Find me at the show and tell me the secret phrase. And the secret phrase is Ignition Press, and that's how you can win a free Comic Source Weekly T-shirt while supplies last. Again, I have about 20 of them. I have some mediums, mostly larges, and a few extra larges as well. So hope to see you guys, some of you guys there. Again, if you want a free T-shirt, that's how it can happen. So overall, Rocky and I were talking about it before we started recording. Um, Incredible lineup of DC books this week. Really, really strong week. I had a hard time ranking them because I literally enjoyed every book. I enjoyed every book for one reason or another, and we'll dive into it. But yeah, it was a little tough to rank the books this week, and so going to be a ton of news coming out from San Diego Comic Con. I'm going to try to get a Comic Source Weekly out this week. I just don't know if it's going to be possible. In addition to me being here for San Diego, where every publisher is reaching out, my schedule's jam packed, running from this interview to this interview to this panel to this interview to this whatever. It's like it's crazy. First world problems for sure, and I love it. But also on top of that, just about 30 minutes north of the convention center, my company's opening a new restaurant. I've been in town already for 4 days. If you've ever opened a restaurant, dealing with the city and all the inspections, and it's
Wow.
it's been it's great. It's like it's herding cats for both things in a different way, and so the stress level's high. But again, I'm trying to embrace the chaos. Um, so yeah,
Well,
it's been
good
it's been
thing
a
comic
stressful
books
time.
are a good stress relief, right? There you go.
They definitely are. But so I don't even know when I'm going home. So at this point, it's just again embrace the chaos. But yeah, good time to be in San Diego. The weather's been nice, a little humid, but not terrible, and certainly better than the 103 it is back in Phoenix right now. So anyway, what were your thoughts about the week overall, Rocky?
Like I agree with you. It was a relatively strong week. It was hard for me to pick. Well, I mean, my top three were easy picks, but honestly, from probably fourth all the way to the 12th, 4 to 12. I wouldn't argue with anybody. I could toss and turn and change the rankings for this week. It's a great problem to have, But it's interesting how much thought, forcing myself to rank the comics can sometimes be very. It's an exercise in futility sometimes, because there's, I'm arguing with myself. It's like, geez, but depends what you want to focus on. If you want to focus on the art, the story, the pacing, all the different ways you can review a comic. And my God, you change one thing, you can change a ranking. And so it's, I don't know if a lot of people who watch us sort of appreciate, that we're not shills. We actually do put our opinion on this and thought into this. And it might seem like, that maybe I'm just the absolute guy all the time. But I tell you, it is difficult to rank these when there's so many, especially when there's 14 comics this week.
Yeah, crazy. That's the thing. There's so many. It makes it a lot tougher. And yeah, like sometimes and we've said it before, like in a stronger week or a less strong week, this might be ranked higher. It's no knock on the book that it didn't make the top 5, but yeah, I have to be a little more critical of things like, well, I love this issue, but maybe the art, I just have to put it. And then I look at it and I'm like, man, this thing's outside my top 10. How can this be outside my top 10? But then I look at everything that's below it and I'm like, well, yeah, I have, it's got every book's got to go somewhere, even if we enjoy it. So, yeah. And it's never personal against the creators or, anything like that. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. First book we're going to talk about in detail is Green Lantern, number 37. And this is a perfect example. We all know how much Rocky and I both love Jeremy Adams. He's the writer on this. We have Zermanico handling the art, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., letters by Dave Sharp. This did not make my top 5. As much as I loved having Zermanico back on art, and I love this issue. I love Odyssey as a character. I love, and I think Rocky as well is a big fan of Kyle and Jade together as a couple. We definitely shipped those two. And so, yeah, I wanted to rank this higher, but again, just on the strength of the week, because there wasn't a whole lot that happened, honestly. And, very little of Hal shows up here and what have you, but what did show up was enjoyable or what have you. But yeah, this only came in at number 9 for me. Again, just based on the strength of the week, I just couldn't find a spot to put it any higher. Anything to add, Rocky?
Well, I like Jeremy Adams is having so much fun writing this title, and he's not afraid to have. He's not afraid to. This is fun, and with Odyssey and with Odyssey now she's kind of like a movie star now, and this is literally the title for this story is called Don't Feed the Trolls, and there's literally an online troll, and Jeremy Adams has a lot of fun with that, and there's literally an actual troll that ends up being obsessed with Odyssey because she gets into an online war, and there's a little bit, it's probably a little part of I imagine being a top creator like Jeremy is, like a lot of comic creators, you end up getting sometimes into arguments. You make the mistake of trying to get into an argument with somebody online, and of course Odyssey does that, and she's got some so-called haters online, and she deals with them, and the troll ends up going after her, and then Kyle gets involved to save her, and after he's on a date with Jade, and a lot of humor, there's a lot of shenanigans, and while there isn't a lot that happens, there's a lot of good, fun character moments, especially like you say, if you're fans of Jade and Kyle getting together like you and I are, and I even like Odyssey. I mean, Odyssey there's been no hints of a romance, because Odyssey sort of had a thing for Connor Kent, and he's He's not in this comic, which is interesting. But I sort of like what it's done here. And then at the end, we have Major Force showing up, who anybody who knows the history of Kyle Rayner knows that, Kyle Rayner and Major Force have a very significant history with each other. Women in refrigerators, anyone? So we know we really got something to look forward next issue, where it's teased to be a major, no pun intended, conflict, or rather pun intended. So yeah, no, this was a fun issue. For myself, this actually came in at number 8 for me. And again, it was in any other week, maybe it could have made the top 5, but it just never quite. There was just so much competition this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much looking forward to the next issue, because I feel like we've never. I mean, there have been issues, obviously, with again Kyle and Major Force having confrontations, but like Kyle's never going to let that go. Whenever he sees Major Force, he's always just going to want to put his fist through his face, which you can't blame him for at all. So
yeah.
All right, up next, Harley Quinn number 64. This is from writer Elliot Kalan, Carlos Oliveras on art, Marisa Louise on colors, Lucas Tony on letters. Before I go any farther, I'm not going to forget variant covers for Absolute Green Lantern.
You mean Green Lantern?
Yes, Green
Just
Lantern,
green.
not Absolute Green.
Right.
Green, yeah. I mean, the main one there by I think it's Eddie Burroughs is fantastic. I love that because it really shows kind of you kind of alluded to it, the platonic relationship that Kyle and Odyssey have. It's more like a brother-sister relationship, which I really enjoy. But there's another one by Yasmin Putri that's really awesome. And then there's that one. I really like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then the other one is by Chris Campagna that you had up a second ago. Yeah, so I will endeavor not to forget about the covers again going forward. But anyway, getting back to Harley Quinn 64, I'm really kind of enjoying this. I like the idea of a Bat Quinn. I like the way she narrates. The whole idea of a Harley Quinn revenge squad is a little tropey, but it's not terrible. When you look at the caliber of villains she has, it is sort of cringy. Like they're villains that would be defeated relatively easily by most heroes, but then again, Harley's not exactly the greatest power level, even though she's fought the Trinity to a standstill before, which we've talked about many times. So this is okay. I am enjoying it, even though it came in at 13 for me. I am still enjoying it. I kind of like the vibe, but all that being said, I'm still not a Harley Quinn fan, so it's never going to be probably my book of the week or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Rocky? Any thoughts on it?
I don't. Harley Quinn is not somebody that should have a revenge squad. Harley Quinn is her own worst enemy. And the fact that she's having a psychological, I don't know, her split personality, that there's even a Bat Quinn. And then at the end, her Harleen Quinzel, the other half of her personality shows up. I'm not even
like
sure
you
if
said,
it's...
She's her own worst enemy.
Well, she is.
Yeah, literally.
And yeah, and she, I got to admit, Elliot Kalan has done a lot of. He's been very creative with this series. Even her monochromatic color of Harley of the Bat Quinn, and it all has an in-story explanation for it. I have a hard time getting into it because this just feels like a character that shouldn't be in the DC universe for me. The way in this particular iteration, and it's just not for me. But I can't deny that it's. I know Steve, our buddy Steve, who's joined us a couple times, and of course last year at this time, Steve and I joined you in San Diego for the con. Steve's really this series is growing on him. So kudos to Elliot Kalan. I mean, give him props. He's won over a lot of. There's even in my local comic shop where Steve and I shop. More and more people are coming on board Harley Quinn. So, I just say that because it's not my cup of tea doesn't mean that it doesn't have a very strong audience. And Elliot Kalan, I think, is starting to develop a following here. So,
yeah, I mean, I much prefer the was it Joker Harley Criminal Sanity from Cami Garcia. I prefer the Sean Gordon Murphy verse Harley. They're a little bit more serious characters.
Yeah, I like a more serious take too. Yeah.
This might be my favorite mainstream Harley series since Gotham City Sirens, because she wasn't really zany in that either. But I mean, as much as I love Jimmy and Amanda, they're the zany and the art in that series from Jan Harden was amazing as well. But that was a very zany Harley, and that's just not a Harley that interests me. So
Yeah.
this might be my. I mean, I definitely like it better. You know, as much as I love Tinny Howard as a creator and Stephanie Phillips as well. Like I love Stephanie and what she's doing in Daredevil right now is awesome. But I think I like this Elliot Kalan run of Harley more than her run. So anyway, variant covers, everybody. Derek Chu right there on that one. That one right there is David Nakayama. A couple of fantastic banger covers. And then the one behind me is the swimsuit cover by Terry Dodson. If you don't, I'm covering Poison Ivy's beautiful face, but she's on that cover as well. Okay, moving on. Up next, we have Superman number 40 from writer Joshua Williamson. Art by Dan Mora. Colors by Alejandro Sanchez. Letters by Ariana Mayer. This is in your top 5, Rocky. I'm going to let you go first. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just a little behind here.
Wait, hold on. I skipped one, didn't I?
Well, you did, but we can go back to it. It's Justice League Unlimited.
Okay.
But it's not a big deal. We can go back to it. This is look, this series is great. Joshua Williamson has done such a great job continuing with Superboy Prime, breaking the fourth wall. He's battling Manchester Black, and Manchester Black here. The way this particular, I mean, ultimately Manchester Black, he basically goaded Superboy Prime into basically breaking the wall of reality, bringing Manchester back sort of from the dead, so to speak, because Manchester Black sort of gave his life in the whole fiasco that brought back or rehid Superman's secret identity, and he died at the hands of Lex Luthor using him. And in any event, he's battling Superboy Prime here, and there is, again, Joshua Williamson having a lot of creativity, a lot of inside jokes, and even how at one point they break out of a comic book and the comic book that we're actually reading is actually part of the story. So there's a lot of fun to be had here. If you've been with Superman for the last 10 issues, you know exactly what we're getting at here. The fun continues, and the break in the fourth wall continues, and this is just a lot of fun. Dan Mora's art's fantastic. And even the way that it ends, the way that literally. Remember those Superman stories where Superman was battling the parasite, and how did Superman defeat the parasite? Superman let the parasite absorb all his superpowers, and because the parasite was ultimately only human and could only absorb so much superpowers, and it would overwhelm the parasite and the parasite would explode. That's basically what happens to Manchester Black here. Superboy Prime is filled with all that continuity, and I mean, can you imagine how horrific it would be if us comic collectors if we were to try to understand and be filled with all that continuity that Superboy Prime is aware of? Because remember, Superboy Prime is the ultimate comic collector because he's got a super memory, so he remembers everything. So Superboy Prime probably knows more about Superman than even Mark Waid does. So I mean, that would probably explode someone's brain. And so per Manchester Black, absorbing all that continuity, that's how he's ultimately defeated because it's just too overwhelming. And of course, that's how Superboy Prime wins the day. And then at the end, he ends up with his potential. There's actually a wonderful tribute at the back with Joshua Williamson talking about how awesome comic books are. Joshua Williamson is speaking through the characters, speaking through his potential girlfriend there. What's her name? The witch lady. Witchcraft? What the hell's her name? Witchfire, yes. And they basically give a salute to Wednesdays, of course, Comic Book Wednesdays, and Comic Book Day for all of us every week. And it's just a lot of fun. And then ultimately there's a tie-in, of course, to what is ultimately going to be the Kingdom of Zod storyline that continues in the pages of Superman and Action Comics and Superman Unlimited and Supergirl. So, but anyways, great story, great art. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get there, everybody. But yeah, you talk about Zod and the reveal in Action Comics. Holy cow! What a great time to be a Superman fan. It's so awesome. But you know, specific to this issue, you nailed it, Rocky. Joshua Williamson speaking about and I don't want to get too corny or mushy or emotional here, or whatever, but what's beautiful about comics. You know, that's what this issue is about. I love about Superboy Prime and Joshua Williamson saying the quiet part out loud, and the growth of Superboy Prime to realize. I mean, here's a guy that started off as very young and naive, and interesting idea way back in 1987. He came from our Earth, supposedly where all these heroes are in comic books, whatever. And his name was Clark Kent, and he loved comics. But then to find out, during the crisis, he has powers and whatever. And from being the most sweet, innocent guy to being stuck in limbo, becoming bitter, and then we all know how it spiraled out from there. But with his recent change of attempting to redeem himself and constantly asking himself, what would Superman do in this situation? What would Superman do? And thinking he needs to be perfect, because to Superboy Prime, Superman is perfect. He always makes the right decision. And we saw that Superboy Prime, he freely admits, he goes, I really screwed up. I really screwed up. Not only did he give in and eventually punch reality that allowed Manchester Black to come back, but now in defeating Manchester Black here, like you said, Rocky, he downloaded all this comic book knowledge into Manchester Black's brain. And so now Manchester Black knows all the secrets. And Mr. Terrific was not happy about that. He's like, you did what? But at the same time, they're going to stick Manchester Black in the Phantom Zone and hope that the Phantom Zone can contain Manchester Black, and that that information is not going to get out at some point. And Superboy Prime realizes, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know any other way to defeat him. So, and he also realizes that, hey, what an incredible job by Joshua Williamson to show the growth, right? Superboy Prime realizing, hey, it's never going to be a situation where I did all these terrible things, but now I'm going to do the right things and people are going to forgive and forget. He realizes in this issue, which is something I've talked to Joshua Williamson about, the scars are always going to be there. The after effects of the things that he did, because he even mentions it. He's like, a lot of the things I did were erased by reality being reset, by continuity changes, reboots, whatever you want to call them from DC. People that I killed came back. Connor Kent being one of the ones that really always has it in for Superboy Prime, because he was killed by Superboy Prime and believes it, that nothing can redeem Superboy Prime. And Superboy Prime saying, even though those things got erased, I still did them. And people are never going to forgive me. I'm going to spend the rest of my life always trying to make up for, always trying to, prove myself or whatever. It isn't like he's going to cross a finish line and say, okay, I did X amount of bad things, and now I've done X amount of good things, and that counteracts the bad. No, it's never. He's constantly going to have to prove himself. So that's really interesting. I love the relationship with Witchfire. Rebecca Carsters, I think, is her secret identity name or civilian name or whatever. I love that relationship. I love that he now sees himself as having his own supporting cast with the guys at the comic book store. But mostly what I loved about this issue, and this is kind of where the corny, mushy thing is like you were saying, Rocky, Joshua Williamson speaking through Superboy Prime, who's breaking the fourth wall, who's talking to us, and then Lois comes and interrupts, and it's kind of a funny moment. Mm-hmm. But Joshua Williamson getting to say through Superboy Prime what's great about comics, what's great about the comic community, and the love and celebration of this great art form and medium that we can all celebrate. And I don't know if Joshua Williamson knew this book was coming out the Wednesday of Comic-Con, if he timed it out that way or whatever. But like when you're here, I mean, Rocky, because you got to come last year for the first time. Like the fellowship and the community of comic book lovers, and getting to talk to creators and how much energized they get from talking to fans, and just everybody having a good time. And it's not just comics, because there's a lot of other fandoms here, and everybody's here just to have a good time and celebrate whatever it is they love. But for me, that's comics, and for you, it's comics, and talking to the comic creators and hanging out, going to the comic book legal defense fund party where it's mostly creators, whatever. Like this is like, there could not be a better week of the year for this book to come out. And I can't wait. I'll see Josh. I'm going to interview Josh and Hayden Sherman about Legion of Superheroes this week, everybody. So you got that coming. I'm definitely going to try to pick their brain. We don't want to get too spoilery, but we'll learn I'll learn what I can. I'll learn what I can. But yeah, I'll definitely give Josh a big shout out, and be like, dude, what a great issue. What perfect timing for it to come out this week at San Diego. And the Dan Mora art, fantastic. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. So yeah, really, this is in my top 3. If you guys didn't figure it out, it's
Yeah.
in my top 3 for sure. So,
No.
as far as variant covers, the green one that's behind me, if you don't realize that Mark Spears is kind of easy to tell. The one
Yeah.
in the middle there is by Terso Cons, who, if you like, why does that name sound familiar? He's the one that did the winter story that was Dark Knights of Steel, Endless Winter. And I'm glad we're getting to see his art in color, because obviously the Endless Winter was like grayscale and a little bit of blue. But that, I love that cover. That is a beautiful cover,
Yeah.
with Crypto. And
Yeah.
then there's also an Eddie Barrows variant that's kind of a has the 3 Trinity symbols across. Yeah, that's the Eddie Barrows one, which is fantastic. And then the other one you had up, Rocky, the really colorful one is Javier Fernandez. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of these covers. Mark Spears kind of being, I'm not a huge fan of Mark Spears' style. But that being said, I did get a chance to interview Todd McFarlane last week about Mark Spears and the Spawn 77. So if you want more information about that, go check out that interview. But the other one, like I think I ordered the main cover because I love Dan Mora, but that Tirso Cons one is fantastic. I may have to go pick that up. I got to find a comic book shop to go to tomorrow morning since I'm not going to be in Phoenix to go pick up the book. So yeah, fantastic book. So all right, let's jump backwards for us, because I accidentally skipped Justice League Unlimited. Written by Mark Waid, Dan Mora, and Fico Ocio doing the art, Tamara Bonvillain on colors, Ariana Mera on letters. I was at a shop on Sunday. I had a couple of hours free, and I went to I went to the shop that was so small that there was new books stacked everywhere. There was new books stacked like 2 feet high on all the back issues, so you couldn't actually look at any back issues. You had to ask the guy, and he knew exactly what he had, if he had something or not. It was crazy. I can't believe how many books were. I've never been at a shop like that where you could barely walk through, and I don't know how you would find anything, but he's got it all in his head apparently. But I say all that to say there was the owner and 2 other guys in there talking about Dan Mora and his covers, and I guess all Mora's Nightwing covers that he did during the Tom Taylor one are going for like 30, 40, 50 bucks now. It's gotten super popular. And so I bring that up because we just did a Dan Mora book. Now we're doing another Dan Mora book, and he's also still drawing Transformers, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's drawing 3 books a month. What in God, like, Dan Mora is a superhuman. The fact that he can draw this well, this quickly. That being said, I do feel like this is a little textured and isn't quite as clean as the art in the other 2 books, which kind of suits the Brainiac Queen type story. And I did enjoy this, but it's not in my top 5, again, just based on the strength of the week. So while I did enjoy it, it just didn't make my top. It just, where did I put it? Let me get it in front of me. I think I ranked it pretty high, actually. Yeah, it came in at number 11 for me. So I did enjoy it, but again, it just wasn't one that really stood out for me. Although I will admit that Despero is a classic Justice League villain, very much worthy of the Justice League, and I did appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a confrontation here. I put this at number 12 only because, I don't know, it was all right, but it's just too much competition. And but there are some curl moments. Despero seems to have, on the surface, he would appear to have wiped out, killed Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner, and he's facing Hawk Girl alone. And or he also appeared to have killed Metamorpho. I'm sure that's not actually what happened, but that's what it appears to be the case. Meanwhile, Batman and Lex Luthor they seem to have a vision. They seem to have the same vision together. They seem to admit to each other that neither one of them had a prophetic vision as a result of the DCKO. And now I don't know if they were lying about that, but if they never had a prophetic vision about the future of the DC universe, they appeared to have a shared vision together, and they seem to have a vision of, I'm guessing, that it has to do with maybe the upcoming event in Gotham, which is the Poison Ivy focused event. What is it called? Gotham Seeds or whatever it is. What's Bad Seeds? Yeah.
Seeds, yep.
Yeah, they seem to having a vision on that. So, and also I like the way they defeated Brainiac Queen. They defeated her by sort of luring. Batman lured the Brainiac Queen into the consciousness they sort of suggested that that Red Tornado knew the secret location of Amanda Waller, and that it was inside Red Tornado that forced the Brainiac Queen to infect Red Tornado, but it was a trap, and that way they managed to trap Brainiac Queen, and the Atom shrinked her down to a small size, and they managed to capture her, and Amanda Waller is still. I think she's still hiding out as a result of the Secret Six miniseries. I can't quite remember, but in any event, I find myself, strangely enough, not really caring. I'm kind of glad that chapter is over. I associate Absolute Power with DC still not being at their best. It was post Absolute Power where DC really took off in my mind. At least that's how I remember it. And in any event, this was second last for me this week, even though it was okay.
Yeah. Again, not didn't stand out, but there are some really great covers. There's a Bruno Redondo, the one you've got up right there.
Sorry,
Seb McKeon.
Yeah.
Who I'm not familiar with, but that one is pretty beautiful. That one right there is Don Aguillo, which is kind of cool. And then there is that one right there, Bruno Redondo, which is the Atom growing, which is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. There's also a Nathan Zerdy one. Yeah, there it is. I think that's Giganta, but she looks a little more cutesy than I've ever seen her.
Yeah, check out the box on her, huh?
Yeah, and there's a Kari Anders swimsuit variant as well. Yeah, there's the Kari Anders one. Like, Power Girl's never gonna drown.
Oh my God, I want it for the Power Girl. Look at Batman. Yeah. He's like stealth Batman checking out the globes.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Kari. If Kari's here, I'm going to have to ask you about that.
What's Batman really doing? And look at the Atom jumping off. Did he jump off her boobs? Did the Atom jump off?
Entirely possible. I think he did.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
I never wanted to be that small before. Wow.
All right. Up next, we've got Superman, Father of Tomorrow, #3 from writer Kenny Porter. Art is by Danny Earls, colors by Nick Filardi, letters by Lucas Catoni. This is interesting because you mentioned that Steve has been partaking of these issues and giving us his rankings, whatever, and he ranked us pretty high. If I wasn't, and I typically don't look at his rankings before I go and read my books for the week, but this time I did just because I read them so late because I had so much going on. And so I was kind of wondering, I was like, would I not enjoy this? Man, I really enjoyed this. What I enjoy about it so much is that what Jor-El is doing, it's that sort of classic question that people have, and it's the reason why some people don't like Superman. They're like, well, if Superman really existed, he could solve all the world's problems. He could solve everything so easily, and that's what Jor-El is struggling with here. It's the central sort of question of the series. Like, Jor-El is trying to guide them and teach them, but what right does he have to really say, you can use my technology this way, but not that way, and who gets it and who gets access? And it's that slippery slope of, well, if you want to just become the ruler, the benevolent ruler or whatever, that's, who is Jor-El to say? Like, what right does he have to dictate or whatever? At the same time, you don't do what Lex Luthor is doing and saying, yeah, we should decide, and and going and learning all the magic. And I love that juxtaposition as well from Kenny Porter. Lex Luthor always being a mad scientist and leaning into science, and here he's gone completely the other way because he'll never be able to surpass Kryptonian science and technology. So he's gone completely the other way and learned sorcery and learned it from Dr. Fate. And so I love that as well. On top of all that, at the end, we get a new Elseworlds version of the Wildcats. We've got General Sam Lane as Captain Atom going and stealing an energy battery that's powered by Jor-El's technology, and he's turned himself into a version of Captain Atom, and he's going to lead the Wildcats against Jor-El. So I guess that's one thing in this Elseworlds that hasn't changed, is Sam Lane is still a complete dick. So I really, really enjoyed this. I was impressed with how, again, I think I let Steve's impression color mine a little bit. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to like this or not. But I really enjoyed it. This came in at number 5 for me. It made my top 5. So yeah, and the Danny Earls art was fantastic. Um, Kenny's at the show. I don't think he's available for interviews at DC, but he's been on our podcast before, or been on the Comic Source podcast before. So I'm definitely going to try to talk to him about this series, and it might not be here at the show. But if I see him, I'll definitely be like, dude, this last issue was awesome. Hey, you want to come on and talk about it, and that kind of thing. Because again, I really enjoyed this issue. What about you, Rocky? It wasn't in your top 5, but
no, it wasn't. But it came in at number 9 for me. But I really enjoyed this. One of the initial criticisms I have with the first issue, which Kenny Porter has at this point, and he began to redeem himself with issue 2, and certainly by issue 3 here, is he's understood the assignment that whenever you do an Elseworlds tale for DC, do something different. You know, I mean, the Supergirl Survive series, for example, has actually picked up too. It's done something decidedly different, like outside. It's really introduced, and it's really been, imaginative in terms of utilizing like the Lobo characters in that series, and just have the story go off on tangents the reader wouldn't expect. And Kenny Porter's pulled that off here for me. I didn't expect the direction of where Sam Lane would go in terms of becoming this Captain Madam character, much less the Wildcats showing up. Even Lex Luthor going full magic. That's completely not what you'd expect Lex Luthor to do. He's the tech guy. He's the genius. You'd almost think that his ego wouldn't allow him to use magic, that he would rise up to the challenge to have his intelligence defeat Jor-El, mano a mano or brain to brain, so to speak. But he hasn't done that. And also, I wouldn't put it past Kenny Porter if there's some misdirection here. Maybe Lex Luthor isn't even isn't even going to end up being the bad guy here. Who knows? He might end up, because it's a little bit on cliffhanger here. It looks like Lex Luthor, I believe it's Lex Luthor who confronts Jor-El here, but we don't know what the outcome is. And in any event, I like this. I don't know what to expect. Kenny Porter's done a really good job here, and actually kudos too on the art. The artist Danny Earls, has done a really good job, because I really become accustomed to the style of this series so far, so I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, Danny Earls, it's so interesting, his style here, because I knew him as a cover artist. Like, remember when he was the one that did the first issue cover for The Watchtower, where it's Renee Montoya question, and she's kind of kneeling down, like investigating, and it's much more photorealistic than this style. But I really like the style. He has a good sense of storytelling. So, really great job. A couple of variant covers on this one as well. The one that Rocky has in the middle there is Gabriel Hardman, and then there's also one by Lucio Perillo that's really fantastic as well. Yeah, that one right there where Jor-El's kind of holding up. What do you think about Jor-El's costume? Like, it's so interesting, because it almost looks like he's wearing a lab coat, which suits him as a scientist, but obviously it doesn't have the bright red or yellow. So it kind of suits. Yeah,
it does suit him.
His personality. Yeah,
it does. It's a combination between a cape and the classic Superman movie sort of Jor-El with the all white robes, and so I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. All right. Up next, this one did not make my top 5. In fact, it came in toward the bottom. It came in at number 12 for me, and I want to be clear. I love the story that's being told. So it's Absolute Wonder Woman 22 from Kelly Thompson. The art is by Dylan Snook. At this point, I mean, this is the second issue in a row by Dylan Snook. His art does remind me a little bit of Hayden Sherman, but not enough, if you know what I mean. Colors by Jordi Belair, and then Becca Carey on letters. Now, we know Hayden is the artist on Legion of Superheroes, and I think Hayden is a relatively quick artist, but that doesn't mean he's Dan Mora and he can do 2 monthly books. So my question, because this hasn't been answered to my knowledge, is Hayden now just on Legion of Superheroes, and is Dylan Snook now on Absolute Wonder Woman? I'm not familiar with him before he did last issue. And if he hasn't done a lot of work, there's every chance he's going to become more comfortable drawing Absolute Wonder Woman, and the art's going to get better. But to me, this art is not good enough for a really high profile book like this.
Yeah.
like I'm looking at the next issue, which is 23, and Hayden Sherman's the artist on that one again. So maybe Dylan Snook just filled in for a couple of issues, which okay, great, get him the experience. Like I'm sure Hayden would be the first one to say when he first started, he did some work on some aftershock books. His art wasn't maybe at the level that it needed to be to do like a Wonder Woman book or what have you. Um, so I say all that to say, no slight against Dylan Snook, but there were times, yeah, that page, especially the bottom right corner. Go back, Rocky, where you were. That bottom right corner, Wonder Woman's face. Like when I saw that panel, it
Yeah.
pulled me right out of the story. Wonder Woman looks like an old crone there in that bottom right
Yeah.
panel. So,
Yeah.
so that was the reason I ranked again because it was it was so hard to rank everything this week. I was like, well, I really didn't enjoy the art in Absolute Wonder Woman, so for that reason, it gives me an excuse to knock it down a little bit. Um, Even though I love the story, I love the fight against Charybdis. I loved what Diana did in tying her fate to her adopted mother Cersei. I
Yeah.
love the scene with Barbara Minerva, embracing what's his name, Urzgata,
Ishkataga, the cat god
Ishkataga,
Ishkataga.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Urzkataga, the cheetah god or whatever. Like, so I love everything that's happening in the story, but the art really it pulled it down for me this week. So
Yeah.
anyway, it made your top five though. Give us your thoughts.
It did. It made my top three actually, because I've just been really enjoying this absolute Wonder Woman run, and I make the same. I don't disagree with you on the art. There's a couple things there where Wonder Woman definitely looked like she was hit with an ugly stick. Although I have to say, in the early issues of Hayden Sherman, Hayden Sherman does not draw the most attractive Wonder Woman, although he can make her draw with his gorgeous blue eyes. But there were, in the early issues, I thought Hayden Sherman, I was concerned about the art, but it kind of grew on me. And where Hayden Sherman shines, and through no fault of Ryan Snook here, is with the panel layouts. You can really see Hayden Sherman's, the lack of Hayden Sherman here, because Snook does his damnedest best job of being creative on the panel layouts here. He does a pretty decent job, frankly, better than a lot of other DC artists, certainly Marvel artists. But again, not quite up to Hayden Sherman, what we've become accustomed to with Hayden Sherman, but. The story was really well done. I had no problem understanding what was going on. The action was great. I thought I felt the energy, the kinetic energy. I felt the presence of the gods. I felt about Wonder Woman's sacrifice and Cersei and her strategizing. I thought the story was awesome. I felt I'm still invested in this story, and I really liked. I really liked. I'm still on the edge in terms of what did Barbara Minerva do? Barbara Barbara chose to allow the cat god Ishkataga to possess her, but I think she's got something up her sleeve. And as Veronica Cale says in one of the panels, why did they take the cheetah's body? So yes, the god has possessed Barbara now, but why did they bring the other body with them? What's going on? So I think Barbara might have something up her sleeve to try to trick because Barbara's no pushover. I think that Kelly Thompson has got something up her sleeve there, and this isn't going to be. I think Ishkataga might have the wool pulled out from under him, because I think Barbara might, dare I say, could she display some intelligence and some strategy and cunning, just like Wonder Woman does when Wonder Woman battles the gods. Barbara is no pushover herself, so I'm really curious to see where that goes. But overall, I really enjoyed this week's of Absolute Wonder Woman. Continues to impress the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, the story is really, really enjoyable and some fantastic covers. The one Rocky's got displaying right there is Juan Ferreira, which I didn't order that, but really wanted. So hopefully again,
Yeah,
I can
I
find
know.
time to
It's
pick it
awesome.
up. Um, the one behind me is by Raza. Rocky's got the main one behind him, and there's a Terry Dodson one as well, where she's holding her giant sword. I do want to
Yeah.
shout this out because I feel like I don't know how to feel about it, honestly. Because we talked about it at the beginning of the show last week about how DC released the rules going forward for variants, and their suggestion that it's 5 times cover price for a non-signed book and then 10 times cover price for a signed book. and this is in reference to retailer exclusives. So Jim Lee has a very close relationship with Torpedo Comics in Las Vegas. And I think Jim Lee's doing like 2 signings at the DC booth throughout the weekend, maybe 1, but it might be 2. But he's doing like 4 signings. He's doing a signing every day at Torpedo Comics. And Torpedo Comics has some Jim Lee exclusives, 1 for Absolute Wonder Woman, 1 for Absolute Batman, and 1 for Absolute Superman. And they're $100 each.
That's not right.
Well over.
Yeah, that's a violation of the rule.
Yeah, which is well over. But I'll give the benefit of the doubt because being that it's San Diego Comic-Con, that probably all got done before.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's a good look. I still don't think it's a good look. That
it's not.
Everybody
You're right.
is, everybody's going to get banned except not Jim Lee because he's, the president or whatever. So,
says anyway, I'm judging him. I'm going to judge Jim Lee.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care how big his name is. I mean, it's good for the goose. It's good for the gander.
Yeah, but again, the Torpedo Comics may have had to pay Jim Lee a lot more than other artists would get paid to do it. So
yeah.
Again, this was before. I'm sure that all got worked out before the announcement. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. But I will also say it doesn't look good. Okay, moving on. We've got The Flash number 35. Now, this is a book that I've really, really, really been enjoying. And again, any other week, this is in my top 5 for sure. But because of the strengths of the week, this just missed. It came in at number 6. Written by Ryan North, illustrated by Gavin Guidry, colors by Adriano Lucas, lettered by Buddy Bedoin. Wally taking it one step further with his ability to predict the future, his flashes of insight. He takes on Heat Wave. They get all that resolved. And then he goes to Mr. Terrific, and he says, the only reason that I wasn't able to realize that it was steam instead of fog when I was trying to predict the weather is I just didn't have enough data. Like if I'd known what Heat Wave was up to, I would have realized. So he's like, as long I'll just run around Central City and I'll look at everybody, what everybody's doing, and then I'll know what's going to happen. It's all about gathering more data. It's not too different from what we call AI right now, which is really not intelligence because it's not sentient. What it really is large language models. You're collecting a ton of data, and then you ask the, quote unquote AI, Chat GPT or whatever, to give you an answer. And because it has access to so much data, it can often give you a correct answer. Not always, but often give you a correct answer. Wally's doing the same thing, but in real time. But the first thing I immediately thought of, I immediately thought of this like Big Brother type thing. Like, I don't know how ethical this is, Wally, that you're running around looking at what everybody is doing. I mean, it's for a good cause because then he's able to stop bad things from happening. And he doesn't just directly stop it. He sets up all these kind of Rube Goldberg-like situations where, things are going to fall in a certain way so that it stops whatever bad thing is happening. And so, yeah, he does this for a whole day. He shows Linda, and then she's like, you literally have stopped everything bad from happening in Central City for a whole day. What more do you have to do? And Wally's like, well, hold my beer. And apparently next issue is going to be going to Metropolis. I got to think in some ways this goes bad because it's the whole idea of sort of too much power and too much responsibility and too much information for one person.
Yeah.
Like he's taking a lot on himself. So I guess at some point it's going to backfire. And then there is also the other part where, Wally, you shouldn't be going and observing. Like, are you going inside people's homes where, they should have an expectation of privacy? Because bad things and accidents happen there as well. So, like, you think about when he was trying to stop the people from doing the crazy stuff, and it was the woman who was, like, mixing chemicals in her toilet to make a bomb, and he went in her house and stopped her, and I'm sure that that's the right thing to do, but at the same time, you're in a house uninvited. Technically, that's illegal. So, Anyway, I'm really enjoying this. You can kind of see that he's thinking it's all a good thing, and he's happy-go-lucky Wally West, but there are some questions here that there's some ethical questions, and there's just the inevitable waiting for the other shoe to drop where something's not going to go right at some point. So great job by Ryan North. I mean, I'm loving his Flash run. I really, really am. So
Yeah.
Any thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, this came in at number 6 for me. Just missed my top 5. I love the fact, and you nailed it in terms of just the topic. There's so much to talk about. Ryan North, I mean, yeah, you could say that Wally's become almost like AI, but at the same time, it's even more than AI. He can accurately predict the future. Even AI can't. You can give AI all the data, it can't actually predict the future. In fact, it just can't. For the simple reason of the butterfly effect. At least that's the way I would look at it. So even this, I like. Even my, it's a legitimate criticism of this story that there's no way that Wally could have eliminated all bad things from happening on that day. This is impossible, because the minute he would have changed a single thing, like even the bank robbery, yes, he can change the direction of a frisbee or a baseball, or he could, prevent a kid from falling down on First Street at 2:15 p.m. You don't know how that might affect the overall, some random circumstance 3 blocks away. I mean, there's it's literally infinitesimal. But I like the fact how Ryan North thinks that the Flash is capable of thinking that fast. The Flash is capable of incorporating all this that fast. But at some point, and I suspect that Ryan North has a point he's going to try to make here. Too much information at some point becomes too much information, and I suspect. I mean, I wonder if at some point he's gonna experience what Manchester Black did. I mean, there's such a thing as too much continuity. So maybe too much data. I mean, you got to wonder if that there's got to be a certain point where if you got so much data. It's like in intelligence operations. I remember studying in history class. If you have too much intelligence gathering, it's useless for spy work because you get too much information. It's the deciphering of the information. It's the right kind of information you need to focus on, because you can't focus on everything, or you'll miss the one tree because of the forest, or the forest because of the trees, so to speak. So it's a conundrum. But anyways, thank Ryan North's done a great job to make us all think, and a great art by Gavin Guidry.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought that up. That parallelization of information. Like, if you have all the information, it means that then like all the information in the entire world, like of what everybody's doing at any one time, because you can't predict. Like, it's because then there are so many options. You become paralyzed. You can't make a decision. Because there's too many. If it's a choice between steak or fish for dinner, then maybe that's an easy choice. But if you have a choice between, 17 different kinds of protein, steak, fish, chicken, scallops, mushroom, whatever, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, overload. I can't decide. There's too many. Junie Ba with a flash fact cover, which is really kind of interesting. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of Junie's style, but I do like that cover just for being something different. And there's also a Riley Rosmo variant, with a very elongated looking flash. And I love how Mr. Terrific is kind of running in the background. It looks like Plastic Man is back there, and Hot Girl. And so, really, really cool cover. Okay, moving on. We have The Peril of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Cain Mystery number 6 as our next book. This is coming from writer Chris Condon, Jacob Phillips on art, Hassan Otsman Elhau handling letters, Jacob obviously doing his own coloring. This came in at number 7 for me. It's a little bittersweet because a lot of times this book's been in my top 5, and now we've got a great end. But because of the strength of the week, it only comes in at number 7 for me. That being said, I am going to talk about it a little bit, just to say that, right from the start, and when this got announced at New York Comic Con, and then I had Chris Condon on to talk about it in December, and he was talking about how clearly it's inspired, by Indiana Jones and pulp type stories. You can look at the time period and you can kind of look at the story. And time and again, when I was reading this book, I pictured it in my head as kind of an Indiana Jones type film. And I could see it, the climax of the story of the film, if this were ever to be adapted, playing out in my head with Ezra flying the biplane, and I guess it wasn't a biplane, but or maybe it was. I think it was a biplane. Actually.
Yeah, it was a biplane. Yeah,
it is a biplane. Yeah, but I could see him flying it around, and I could see the Nazi automatons, trying to take him out of it. Like, I could just see it playing out as like a really great sequence as a climax action sequence for a film. And much like Indiana Jones, this is not like Ezra comes out unscathed, you know, like he knows what he's going to do and he stops at whatever. There's a little bit of luck on his part, but there's also skill, and he is formidable and he is tenacious and whatever. But it's a little bit of a combination. And I just thought, with the kind of the tone and the atmosphere that Jacob Phillips' art provides, along with the storytelling and the scripting from Chris Condon, like, it's so easy to just read this comic and have it play out in my head as a film that would have that same kind of adventure, fun, sometimes tongue-in-cheek feel that an Indiana Jones film would have.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I really, really enjoyed this, and that's why I get like, I went back and forth trying to figure out a way to put it in my. I just couldn't put it any higher than 7. But man, did I enjoy this so much, and I'm very much looking forward to more Ezra Cain books from Chris and Jacob. Now they're bringing That Texas Blood back. They both have other projects that they're doing solo, so or not solo, but apart from each other. So I don't know when, or I'll see Chris at the show. I'll mention it to him, and if he can tease anything about it coming back possibly in the future, I'll let everybody know. But I really enjoyed this, and I'm curious as how you felt the ending was, Rocky, because you're an even bigger Indiana Jones fan than I am.
Oh, yeah.
So what were your thoughts on it?
Well, I will say that I will say about Ezra Cain, he's not as interesting as Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones has got the fedora, he's got the whip. If I would have done one thing different with Ezra Cain, I would have given him some sort of other flaw or some sort of quirk, or maybe a quirk to his costume or something like that. Because otherwise the story is great. The story plays out. This could be Indiana Jones. And literally even at the end, the anvil of Hephaestus is basically sort of like taken away, and it's sort of hidden, just like the Ark was at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that it's set up for future stories too, because there's other secret symbols and mythological objects out there that are hinted at the end that the Nazis and various other possible world powers are looking for, because man has always tried to seek the power of the gods, and of course, so there's that mystical element to this, grounded in this crime noir tale. So it really works in that regard, and so this is set up ripe for Ezra Cain, being probably hired by the government, the U.S. government, to maybe go to Europe to have further adventures there, hunting some other mythological artifact, and and it works. And of course, it actually makes me realize how much I miss Indiana Jones. I wish he would have fought Nazis even more, and how disappointed I was in the last 2 Indiana Jones movies, how they shit the bed on those things. But thank you, Chris Condon, for bringing back that feeling of adventure, and mixing it with crime noir and doing something. While it reminded me of Indiana Jones, it was unique in its own right, and a very well written story, and the tone and the art by Jacob Phillips. It really did. It was a joy to read, and I actually do hope that this gets a sequel somewhere down the road.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't disagree with you that having a quirk that is specifically for Ezra would be cool. But I certainly enjoyed him.
Yeah.
I love his tenacity, and the thing that I'll remember about him most, it kind of ties into that idea of tenacity. Like, he got the shit kicked out of him at one point, and he goes to the hospital, he meets the doctor in the stairwell to get a bunch of painkillers to keep going.
Yeah.
Like that. That was just a fantastic character moment. So.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, up next, not in my top 5, but probably the issue that I've enjoyed the most for the series since issue 1 is Zatanna issue 4, written and drawn, actually, I guess Edwin Gallman fills in on the art here, because it's Jamal Campbell writing, and Jamal Campbell is credited as the artist, but only for page 11, or is that page 1? I guess it's page 1, and that's a parenthesis. And the rest is by Edwin Gallman. So anyway, regardless, Edwin is a part of this. Jamal Campbell writing it. Colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. Letters by Ariana Mayer. Getting a little bit of an explanation of what the Prime Magus is supposed to do. and also getting a look at some of these other supernatural characters in the DC universe. So Hecate, but not the Hecate that we see in Absolute Wonder Woman. The return of the Upside Down Man, who I don't think we've seen since Justice League Dark Days from James Tynion.
Yeah.
And then a new character, I think it's a new character, Zahuti,
Yeah.
who was previously the Prime Magus, the one other character that was the Prime Magus.
They were all previous
previously.
Prime Mages. All of them were previous
Oh
Prime
yeah,
Mages.
You're right.
Yeah. That's what makes it interesting. I didn't realize the Upside Down Man was a Prime Magus.
I don't think that anybody did. I think that this is Jamal Campbell expanding
expanding it. Yeah.
Expanding. So I appreciated that. Plus, I liked the layout of those pages and what have you. Even though I haven't necessarily been really excited about Zatanna, this issue did get me going. But the only thing that didn't make any sense to me was the sequence with the 3-card Monty. I didn't understand why that showed up. I didn't understand the context of that. So if anybody knows what I'm missing there, like why that was there, shout it out in the comments, because it kind of went over my head. I went and read back and reread the page before and read that page and the page after, and I couldn't figure out why it was there. It seemed confusing to me. So anyway, what are your thoughts on Zatanna number 4, Rocky?
I love what Jamal Campbell's doing. He's literally creating, like I said, he's creating a rich history of the magical realm of the DC universe. He's taken the reins and he's doing it. And when I brought this up last time, I think it was last issue, you said that you're of the belief that everything Jamal Campbell does is going to be quickly soon forgotten and not embraced by other writers. And you might be right. I really hope you're wrong, because I think Jamal Campbell, I'll give him credit because he's thinking big. He's assuming he's going to be on this title. He's not afraid to tell good stories with fantastic art, and he's not afraid to tell a story thinking he's going to be there a long time. I mean, write as if you're going to be on the title for a while, embrace it, and that's what he's doing. But we're getting good stories in our own right, and I love the fact that what makes the Prime Magus so interesting, that Zatanna is the Prime Magus now, is that she also has the voices of the Upside Down Man and Hecate and Zahuti. They're actually voices in the background, and so she's got some connection with them as well, all the previous Prime Magus, and so it's interesting. And so how this and all the different realms that she travels to, I really have no idea where Jamal Campbell's going to take this series and what challenges he's going to give Zatanna. But this is far more. This is by far. I don't remember Zatanna stories being this, frankly, imaginative or unanticipated. That's what I love about it. And the art is fantastic. I feel that I'm in a different realm, even though I know that we're on Earth. I feel that we're in the presence of a magician, of a Prime Magus, just from the art alone. I feel like I'm in a different world, even though I know I'm in the DC universe as the reader. I know this is Zatanna. But it's interesting that we get to see the world through Zatanna's eyes, and it's very fascinating because of the incredible artwork of Jamal Campbell. And by the way, I give a lot of credit to Hayden Sherman. I think at times Jamal Campbell could give Hayden Sherman a run for his money on page layout. I mean, those two are pretty close. Probably Hayden Sherman for just maybe by a fraction of a second. If these were Olympic runners, they'd be like tenths of a second apart on the finish line. Fantastic art, and I'm really enjoying the character work that Jamal Campbell's doing. His art's so good, you'd be forgiven for not realizing that this character work is pretty damn good too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Zahuti, or he's also known as Thoth character, has shown up previously in Dr. Fate and the Justice League Dark Wonder Woman Witching Hour event. So he's not completely new, but again, to your point with Jamal, as far as I know, Prime Magus is a new concept as well. So I love that he's going back and mining. We talk about the supernatural corner of the DC universe, and it is very much underused. Maybe the most when it was used was Sandman, but that was Neil Gaiman sort of doing his own thing. and it was very separate from the superhero stuff. This is tied in more to the superhero corner, and I really enjoy it. Um, I do want to point out though that a lot of this art in this book, when you don't want to talk about layouts, is Edwin Gallman and not
Yeah.
Jamal Campbell. But that does not in any way invalidate what you said. Yeah, Jamal Campbell, when it comes to dynamic page layouts, is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Edwin Gallman. I love Hayden Sherman. All three of those guys are amazing.
Fantastic guest artist, man. Great guest artist.
Yeah. And kind of on that note, I mentioned Marvel being on the upswing, and obviously the big news that came out last week is Marvel moving from New York to LA, and also CB Cebulski moving on, and Steve Wacker getting the job as editor-in-chief. And I've seen a lot of people say this. I said it as well. The first thing Steve Wacker needs to do is get Disney to raise the pay rates, because straight up, the overall average level of talent for artists at DC is leaps and bounds over the average level of talent at Marvel, and it shows in the books. It just does. That's just a matter of fact. So anyway, that cover in the middle there is Adam Hughes. Absolutely gorgeous. He's well known for drawing Zatanna covers. We've got a couple of other ones. There's you have any other ones, Rocky? Before the one behind me is David Pulaski, where Zatanna's kind of crammed into a box. There's also a Mark Spears one. Again, like I said earlier, I'm not normally a big Mark Spears fan, but that one's really beautiful. And then there's a Keong Eom. Yeah, there you go. That Mark Spears one is very classic Zatanna looking. And then, yeah, there's an Eom one as well where she's looking quite beautiful. And I realized I forgot to, there's the Eom one. I mean, there's literally not a bad cover for Zatanna issue 4 at all. And I realized I forgot to mention the variant cover for Peril of the Brutal Dark, which is by Miguel Mercado. That's got, that one right there. That's got Edwin Ezra firing off the machine gun in the biplane, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We've got Swamp Thing 89, number 4. Rick Veitch writer, Tom Mandrake on artist, Todd Klein on letters, Trish Mulvihill on colors. I was impressed by this. It came in at number 8 for me, but again, that's just based on the strength of the week. A lot of other weeks, this could have come in my top 4. I encourage everybody, make sure you read the essay in the back from Rick Veitch, where he talks about his thoughts and his feelings on finishing this. What I did not realize, he obviously had an idea of where his story was going to go, but only issue 88 had been written and scripted. So when this got to return and he got to do more than he got to finish telling the story he wanted to tell, he literally went back and had to work on those 3 other issues. So it would have been 89, 90, 91 to finish off his story in addition to 88, and write those in the way he would have written them as if they were written back then. That's impressive. It's impressive how well they recaptured the feeling of the time period of what this was done. And this really was a beautiful ending to what would have been his story of Swamp Thing and Abby and their child, which was, if you aren't aware, it was basically John Constantine giving up his body to Alec Holland's essence, we'll call it, so that he could procreate with Abby and have a kid. And they named the kid JC. You could think, okay, well, that stands for John Constantine. Or there's another really famous JC who clearly had a big influence on Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
And the divine source or whatever, and that being Jesus Christ. So dual meanings there. Really great job. I'm just so impressed by the scope of this. Rick Veitch gives a shout out to the current team at DC for allowing him to finish this. He feels like he's come full circle. I'll throw my kudos to them as well. I also really appreciated that Rick Veitch came out and said he didn't blame the people at DC at the time that had to cancel it, based on the environment and the time and what they would have been facing had they published it. He said he understood, and that if he'd been more mature at the time, he might have handled it in a different way. But he doesn't really have any regrets for standing up for what he believed, because ultimately it was censorship, and I don't disagree with him. So I just thought he handled it really magnanimously. And I appreciated the scope of this. And even though I wasn't reading Swamp Thing back then, and this story is not my particular cup of tea, I'm not a huge Swamp Thing fan. I I did appreciate the ending. I did appreciate what was done here. And I just felt like it was impressive to be able to go back and make a comic look like it would have looked had it come out, what, 40 years ago almost?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I was just impressed. I was just impressed.
Well,
So,
what impresses me is this is a happy ending for Swamp Thing and Abigail
Yeah.
Arcade. And this is literally the happy ending. And it's funny because this is back in the day. This is back in '89. Now, post-Crisis, the way that post-original Crisis on Infinite Earths for Superman, there was that famous Alan Moore story, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and that ended. That was sort of like the final Superman story for the pre-Crisis Superman, and it gave him a happy ending. And this is sort of the same thing for Swamp Thing back then, although it is '89. It's a few years. It's still a post-Crisis story. It's the aftermath of the original Crisis, and it's after Swamp Thing has had this profound divine altercation with Jesus Christ himself. It affects the way he thinks. Swamp Thing is filled with love, and he understands the power of kindness and compassion. He talks more than once about the power of this man he met, and he doesn't always mention him by the name Jesus, and even the name JC. It's always by initials. It's very subtle, the symbolism, but it just goes to show the power of religion, the power of belief, the power of a supreme being, and the fact that, he finds happiness with Abigail, and basically he is replaced by, they're replaced with multiversal versions of themselves. I mean, just think if this would have gone through, how controversial the storyline would have been. That means if this story, depending on the readership, if you're a reader that will now consider this part of continuity, I don't know if it is or isn't, but if you consider this story part of continuity, then the reality is that the existing Swamp Thing isn't actually the original Swamp Thing. Because the original Swamp Thing is living somewhere in a happy ending somewhere in the multiverse. And that kind of puts a smile on my face that, and it's just, that's one of the central conceits of the crisis. You can criticize, we can make jokes about all the DC crises, but one thing that all of them at some point have in common is that goal and that movement toward a happy ending. Whether it's Superman in Final Crisis with that miracle machine making a wish that everyone has a happy ending, or just even now with DCKO, with Superman going out to the multiverse, I'm reimagining all of reality so that everyone's happy. It's something that Superman does. It's something that DC ultimately wants for its heroes, and it's hope. And I love the fact that this Swamp Thing, this was the dark Vertigo character. Even with the darker Vertigo's tale, we have a story that ends in hope. And what a wonderful tribute, like years later to have it like this. This issue made the previous two, because I thought the previous two issues got a little wonky at times. This one really nailed it for me. And I quite enjoyed this. Really great job.
Yeah, incredible job by everybody involved. Okay, up next, it's a reprint. So for that reason, came in last for me. I just didn't feel it because it's material we've seen before. That being said, it's gorgeous art. Tom Taylor's the writer, Riccardo Federici on art, Arif Prianto on colors, Wes Abbott hunting on letters. Dark Knights of Steel special, Dark Knights of Steel 2, although technically this came out, I think, during the Endless Winter as backup. So it's Heir to the Sea. It's collecting all those backups, the story of Aquaman, and it's collected all in one volume. So if you missed those backups or whatever, and it ties in with the Dark Knights of Steel 2 series that we talked about the first issue last week. So I don't have much more to add than that, other than, man, that Federici art is fantastic. And I appreciate it. I still reread this, even though I had read it before. I'd actually forgotten a lot of it. So it was great to have it all in one volume. And it really struck me, the parallels between Aquaman and Superman that I didn't really think about previously, with Dark Knights of Steel having Arthur Curry as the adopted son of Jonathan and Martha Kent, as opposed to Superman being the adopted son. So really great.
Yeah, I just want to, two things. Number one, this story does continue in Dark Knights of Steel 2, number 1, which we reviewed last week. And it introduces the Dark Knights of Steel version of Aquaman. Number two, I want to emphasize that if I didn't, I ranked this last two, but if I was to include this, if I was reading this fresh and this wasn't reprinted material, I want to be clear, this would be number one for me this week. This would be absolutely number one for me this week, and nothing would come close to it. That's how much I love the art. I love the story because it really pulled me in. I highly recommend that people pick this up, because if you pick this up, you will want to read Dark Knights of Steel 2 and continue to read on, because I just think it's fantastic. It's that good.
Yeah, I think I would have had it at number 3 for me. Yeah. So still very, very, very high. So yeah, great issue. All right, here's a book that is actually in my top 3. Absolute Superman number 21. Jason Aaron, the writer. Now, we just had this a couple weeks ago. 20 was delayed, so that might be why we've got a little bit of help here for Rafa Sandoval, the artist. So Jason Aaron as the writer, Rafa Sandoval is the artist, but Xander Cannon handled the breakdowns. And then we have Ulysses Areola on colors and Becca Carey on letters. This finishes off the fight of Superman against Teth Adam, Absolute Black Adam, whatever you want to call him, King Shazam. And oh, what a fight it is. I mean, these guys are punching holes in the moon. It was just incredible fight between the two. The art is gorgeous. It's debatable who would have actually won the fight had Absolute Black Adam not sort of made a mistake. And you wonder if Superman sort of goaded him into it to yelling out his name. They're on the moon. He yells out his magic word of Shazam, and he transforms into the little kid. And then Hawkman shows up at that time, and we're not sure if he kills him or what he actually does, but the Father Box takes him and transports him far, far, far away. And Superman's not even sure, is he dead? Hawkman doesn't answer him. We find out that he's not dead. He's not gone. Instead, he's, again, been transported probably thousands of light years away. But where he's been transported to is clearly a planet of doomsdays. So what might he learn there? How it might augment his abilities or whatever. So, yeah, I guess speculator alert here for the first appearances of Doom. I mean, it definitely a cameo type.
Certainly looks like Doomsdays, different versions of Doomsdays,
yeah. But I was like, I always complain about going too fast in Absolute Batman with introducing things, and I've seen other people make the argument that Jason Aaron is going too slow and not introducing. So I'll shout that out to Aaron too. I love that he's doing it slowly and intentionally, but yeah, really, really great job there. But what's interesting, sort of the last 5 pages of it or so, we sort of get like hints of things to come. Like, okay, Jimmy Olsen quits the Daily Planet. Lois quits the Daily Planet as well. Superman, after not being able to convince King Shazam to join him, he's like, we're more alike than we are different. You should be joining me. Like, what happened to that slave boy that wanted freedom for everybody? Now you seem to want to rule over people. And he wasn't able to get through to King Shazam. Now, here's a hero, Absolute Superman, who was even able to get through to Ra's al Ghul, the head of Lazarus. So, imagine his disappointment that he wasn't able to get through this person who claimed to love freedom and got his powers through his love of freedom and his desire to free his people. And so Superman definitely feels like he fails here, and that's a very sort of Superman thing, right? Like, we sort of talked about Superboy Prime feeling like he needs to be perfect because Superman is so often perfect and doesn't make mistakes. This is a young Superman. He's going to have to realize that he's not going to be perfect. He's not going to win every battle, but he cares so much. And there's a great character moment where he's about to go into this incredible battle with King Shazam, and he reaches out to Lois and Jimmy and says, hey, I might not see you again. Let me give you a list of things that I need you to do, if I don't survive this. And you think it might be some grandiose list of, hey, do this, do that, whatever. But no, it's like, go check on this blind woman. Go check on this this kid with his dog, and go check on these other people over here. That they're everyday people that are facing sort of everyday challenges, and Superman is there for them every day. Every day, this absolute Superman goes and checks in on these people to help the blind woman tend her garden, or whatever it might be. Like, what an incredible legacy. Like, when you talk about absolute Superman, when you talk about any of the absolute characters, right? That idea of absolute, it's taking whatever makes the character great, in my mind, and dialing it all the way up to 11, like distilling down who the character is, and then pushing that to the maximum level that you can. Jason, I would make the argument that Jason Aaron, like, if that was the assignment for the absolute universe, Jason Aaron has done that better than any of the other creators, any of the other writers. And now I'm not saying that means absolute Batman's better than, or absolute Superman's better than absolute Batman, or absolute Superman's better than absolute Wonder Woman. Those are fantastic and dynamic stories, or any of the other absolute stuff, right? I'm just saying, if you just judge it on, okay, if it's absolute version of this character, and that means it's whatever makes the character great, maximized, that Jason Aaron has done that better than anybody else. Not saying overall that makes the comic book better or whatever. I personally enjoy Absolute Superman the most. I know I'm in the minority, and people are free to feel the way that they feel, but I'll still make that argument that if that was the assignment, and that's sort of what Scott Snyder explained to me, that's how it started out. That was how he explained the absolute universe in terms of people pitching their ideas. That Jason Aaron has done that the best. And I love this. The art is fantastic. The color work, the level of action, that fight on the moon, like that's that panel right there. Look at that panel in the bottom right corner.
Yeah.
So King Shazam has used a hammer, or no, it's that's later that he uses the hammer. This is where Superman punches absolute King Shazam through the moon. He punches him on the top, and he comes out the bottom of the moon. Like, that's just so awesome.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's crazy.
So, yeah, definite easy choice for my top three.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's in my top three as well. The action is just fantastic, and people can enjoy the action. I mean, this whole thing is a one giant action scene, and there's some moments between Lois and Talia as well. And what I find interesting, just two comments. I actually think that I thought I like what Jason Aaron's doing. I do think, though. See, my take on Superman, like, I think Superman is going a little bit too good on this. Like, I think that there's something extremely unhealthy with what he's doing. He's trying to, his obsession with helping people. I think it's getting to a point. I think it's unhealthy. I think it's going to cost him at some point. It's almost as if he's trying to overcompensate. He's lost his entire world, and now he's trying to save everyone under the sun. And he's got this just ridiculously long list of, I die, make sure you do this, and everything from rescue this cat under the tree to this. And Lois is basically telling him it's a long list, but we'll do it. And then even Lois, where I thought it went a little bit to a point where I find it, I'll buy it, but with Lois reading poems to Talia in prison, like Superman was reading poems of children to Ra's al Ghul, I thought that was a bridge a little bit too far. I get it. I'll accept it, because Lois is so inspired, and frankly, Lois is in love with Superman. I think that's the undercurrent there. I think she's fighting some pretty hard. She loves Superman, but to turn Lois Lane, she's reading frickin' children's poems to the person that killed her father in front of her, pretty much chopped his head off, if I recall. I think that's maybe pushing it a little bit far for me. I don't know if I quite buy that. I think, like, let Lois have a little bit of a harder edge. I kind of wish she'd keep her harder edge for a while longer. It's all of a sudden she doesn't kill and she's perfect, just like Superman was. I think that conversion for her, I would have liked it to have lasted a little bit longer, but it's all right. And I agree with you 100%. If that was the assignment for Jason Aaron, he probably did it better than any other writer. So in other words, I love that this is Superman. We expect Superman to care for everybody. He absolutely does. So yes, that's in character. I'm not saying it's out of character. I'm just surprised it's happening. So I'm just kind of surprised how it just feels a little bit heavy-handed to me. It's sort of like, just a little bit heavy-handed so soon. But then, in any event, I still enjoy it, and I really enjoyed the Battle on the Moon. It was fantastic, and the Doomsday thing at the end, the teases. So this continues to be a fantastic title, easily in my top 3, and Jason Aaron continues to just do a fantastic job. So good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned it being a little heavy-handed. I don't completely disagree with you, and I can see why people wouldn't like it, because when you talk about dialing it up to 11, like what Superman is at his core. The other complaint people have about Superman, he's too powerful. He always does the right thing. He always makes the right decision. That part of it is sort of dialed up to 11 as well. You know what I mean? So if that's a criticism you have of Superman, then you get even more of that here. So, and I agree with you. Like, I think he is trying to do too much, and that it's a lesson he hasn't learned yet. And you wonder if Aaron is planting seeds for that to come back and be a problem. We sort of know that that's been hinted at in Absolute Batman from Scott Snyder, where Bruce just has taken too much on and he's about to quit, and Barbara Gordon's going to take over as the Bat. So it's not completely dissimilar. So anyway, let's move on. We're also celebrating Action Comics issue number 1100 this week, with a main story that finishes off the time travel arc from writer Mark Waid. Let me get it in the credits in front of me. Skylar Patridge on art. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the credits in front of me. And this was a very heartfelt issue. It was great to see Superboy help rescue Superman, basically. Ryan Sook handles some of the art duties along with Skylar Patridge. Yvonne Placencia on colors, and then Ryan Sook colors his own pages. Steve Wan's on letters. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it was great seeing the final confrontation against Epoch, and then having Superboy go out and basically rescue his older self, with Booster not being able to help himself, and giving Superboy hints of what his life's going to be like in the future. It was just great. Obviously, this is going to be the return of Superman, who we haven't seen in a long time, since the end of the Omega tournament. I wonder if we're going to get the story of what he was up to. They've got the Kingdom of Zod issue to deal with first, probably. But it was great to see. Obviously, Superman's been through a lot. He's got a beard. His costume is more tore up than you've ever seen his costume be before. So that was interesting. There's a second story, Game Night, written by Sophie Campbell with art by Dan Mora, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Becca Carey, with Connor and Kara and Thunderboy and John Kent, Tomorrow Man, I guess. He's still in his Tomorrow Man costume. All playing games, and then Superboy Prime shows up, and this is due to Supergirl. Again, we saw this at the end of the Superman 40 issue that we reviewed this week, but with Superboy Prime showing up because there's something going on in El Caldero, and Supergirl recruits both these, and these aren't just not guys that get along. I mentioned before Connor Kent still being pretty cheesed off that Superboy Prime killed him at some point. So how that's all going to...
Kind of hard not to take that personally,
yeah. So you can completely understand that. And then there's yet another story that ties into what Dan Slott has been doing in Superman Unlimited. So you sort of have the first story that ties in to just what's been going on in Action Comics. Then you have the second story that ties in with what's been going on in Superman. And then you have the last story, which ties into Superman Unlimited. So the Kingdom of Zod storyline is going to play out in all those, plus Supergirl as well. So the last story, again, because it ties in more closely with Superman Unlimited, is from Superman Unlimited writer Dan Slott. And the art is by Superman Unlimited artist Lukas Meyer. And oh my God, like every time I think I can't like Lukas Meyer's art more, he comes out with an issue like this, which is really fantastic. There could be a tendency, a risk in this issue to have it be a little less compelling because there's not a ton of action here, except like in flashback. But he ratchets up the tension and the reveal of us finding out who the head of the the Kryptonite Knights is in here that are supposed to protect the president and what have you. Now, a lot of green, obviously, with the colors being done by Giuliano Paratelli, who does a fantastic job, and then you have letters by Dave Sharp. But I was like when I was reading this, and we get to that moment where the head of the Kryptonite Knights, Bruno, is about to take off his helmet. I didn't have any idea who it was. I was trying to figure out who it was. I thought maybe the Eradicator or whatever. And then he says, you don't. What does he say? Not Bruno, because they're calling him Bruno, like all
Yeah.
word. He goes, not Bruno. That's a poor translation. In Kryptonese, it is Drew Zod. And do not hail me. Bend the knee and say it. And they, of course, say that classic kneel before Zod.
Yeah.
Like I was just smiling from ear to ear when I saw this.
Yeah.
You wondered how they were going to do it. How are they going to bring Zod back to start, the Kingdom of Zod storyline and whatever? And it turns out he's been here for quite a while. You wonder how much did he have to do with that big chunk of kryptonite falling to Earth? And then the other question I have is, how come he's not being affected by the kryptonite? I mean, maybe he doesn't have superpowers because of the kryptonite, but I mean, the kryptonite, it goes beyond just taking away the powers of Kryptonians. Usually, it like physically causes them pain. Is it his costume that he's wearing that's protecting him? But then he
Yeah.
takes the helmet off and he doesn't seem to,
It's a good
have
question.
any ill effects. Or is it because we speculated that when Lois has been getting powers, Kryptonian type powers, that because of the events of absolute power, that she got those from Zod.
Yeah.
So is that still the case? Because she had them and then they went away, and then she got them again recently.
Yeah.
So does he not have the vulnerability to kryptonite because he doesn't have his superpowers right now? Like, a lot of questions to be answered,
Yeah.
but just like that panel, go up one page, Rocky. That panel, the last panel by Lukas Meyer, perfect amount of like reveal. Like, I thought, and that whole page, we're giving props to Edwin Gallman and Jamal Campbell and Hayden Sherman about their page layouts. I'll give props to Lukas on this. That's a great page layout too, with the guy in the armor in the back holding the hand up, kneel before Zod,
Yeah.
or hail Bruno right before they say that. That great page layout from Lukas. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Very much a worthy. I mean, it's so weird once you get above 1,000, because it's real easy to think about 100, 200, 300, 400 being a celebration issues, anniversary issues. It's a little harder when you get up into the 4 digits. I almost feel like they should have done something special for Detective Comics this week, because it's 1111, which is funny.
Yeah. I know.
But anyway, this was fantastic. I loved it. Various covers that are great. So yeah, really, really loved it. What were
Yeah.
your thoughts on it?
It was great. It's a banger of an issue, man. It's the way it finished the story of Action Comics, where Superboy meets up with Superman. And by the way, in terms of the adventures of how present day Superman ends up being rescued by his past self, we're going to be getting that story next week. I know that in a particular issue, and so all will be revealed. But some great teasers here, and the Zod story here was fantastic. The idea that Zod may have been the one to send the kryptonite meteor to Earth that started all this. Kryptonite now isn't just harmful to Kryptonians. Now it's been revealed to be harmful to humans as well. Did Zod have something to do with that? And then how is Zod not affected by the kryptonite? I don't know. I don't know if both you and I should be embarrassed that we never guessed on this reveal. We knew Zod was coming back. It never occurred to me that he would be Bruno. It never occurred to me that he would show up.
I just thought he was just another citizen of
Yeah.
Caldero.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I actually was. I've been generally underwhelmed with the whole El Caldero sort of plot line to begin with. Now suddenly I'm more invested in it. I'm much more interested in it now, and it's like, oh no, this is kind of cool. The other thing what I like about it is, and the reason why I feel like a fool for not guessing this, that Zod, is that it's perfect, because Joe Casey's Kneel Before Zod series, I was generally disappointed with. I thought something. I felt it did. I thought it made. Yeah, I just thought
6 issues were great. and the second 6 issues were not.
Yeah, I thought it made him into more one-dimensional character and just one-dimensional angry character, less complex. Now finally we're getting some complexity to Zod, and it just makes sense. Zod, what better way for Zod? Because he always wanted to. He wanted to rule Krypton. That's how I view Zod. He always wanted. He was the general. He feels that if he was left in charge of Krypton, Krypton probably wouldn't have been destroyed. And so, what better way to sort of redeem himself than to take a piece of Krypton, a giant meteorite, crash it on Earth, and rule that section of the Earth, and rule the entire planet Earth, but with a piece of Krypton being the harbinger of his rule. I mean, this is so something Zod would do. This story almost writes itself, and I completely fooled me. Kudos to DC, to Dan Slott. Now I'm really interested in what Zod has in mind, and and just so many questions, like you said, and I'm looking forward to figuring out what the answers are as this story moves forward.
Yeah, Zod wanting to rule Earth. A Kryptonian wanting to rule Earth. Where have I seen that before?
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper's Jor-El in the Superman, which is why exactly what I said when my theory was it wasn't really Jor-El, it was Zod who is trying to fool Superman. But then in Supergirl, the Supergirl movie, it got confirmed and it bummed me out. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Great issue. Pick it up, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, last book. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, are we going to be getting a return to the triangles? To the triangle era?
I would not be disappointed if that were the case. I loved when they were tied in.
I wasn't sure because I guess not.
It might just be for this event. Yeah. Okay. Mark Spears on that one. Gorgeous. Again, I'm not always the biggest fan of Spears, but I do think that one's awesome. It's that is a Jim Chung foil version variant that's Rocky's showing. The one behind me is David Talaski with Lois Lane. And then the other one that you had up there before, that one there is Raza, which very, very beautiful. Look, a little Saturday Evening Post type style there, I think.
Yeah.
And then the other one you had up was, Daniel Sampere, which just, again, beautiful, beautiful cover from Sampere. So, all right, last book we're going to talk about in detail, certainly not least. We've got Detective Comics, issue number 1111, so 1111. Tom Taylor is the writer, Mikel Janin handling art and colors for himself. This time, Wes Abbott on letters. One issue left in this flight. Batman clearly has figured it out. He hasn't made us privy to what's going on as well, but it definitely seems like there's some sort of entity or malevolent entity or something that takes over these people that are in Prion's family and controls them and makes them really awesome assassins, which we kind of speculated that was what was going on before. We find out how Prion died, which is something that Tom Taylor did that has basis in reality, but I wonder, and we've seen this happen in professional sports around the world before, where if you happen to hit somebody in the chest in just the wrong spot at just the wrong time, it can shock their heart stops beating, and they perish. It works for the point of the story, but at the same time, it's like, man, you have not Superman, you have Batman there, you have Ted Grant there, you have Green Arrow there. It seems like they could have CPR'd and saved him or whatever, but there might be something more going on. It might have to do with because he was taken over kind of thing, and the signal and whatever, it could have contributed to his demise. Maybe it wasn't all Black Canary's fault. I mean, her fault in that they were sparring and it was accidental, but she does feel responsible for it. But when we see Batman at the end sort of get this idea of what's going on, and he puts a little device on the Prion's mother's arm, and it sends out a little EMP pulse, which tells me if that disrupted this entity in some way, that there's something going on with electrical or whatever, which if you don't know this, like our hearts, they beat due to electrical stimulus. Like our body generates an electrical stimulus that causes our heart to beat in rhythm. So you wonder if Prion had his heart was damaged because whatever it is that takes him over deals with some sort of electrical impulse as well. So great job by Tom Taylor. I've said this before. I'll say it again because it bears repeating. I feel like this Detective Comics run is his best work at DC. Yes, he's done fantastic work in Dark Knights of Steel and DC. I feel like his previous best work was outside. It was sort of non-main continuity, non-mainstream DC storytelling. I liked his Nightwing run, but this Detective Comics run puts his Nightwing run to shame in my mind. It is just so good. Maybe part of that is I'm a big fan of Mikel Janin. I love his clean style of art. I know it's not for everybody, but there's tons of action here. I also enjoy that Detective Comics, as has been the case many times throughout its run, it's not closely tied into continuity. Nowhere near as closely tied into continuity and other events and things that are going on as the Batman title typically is. And I appreciate that because the company is DC Comics, Detective Comics. There are people that well, if I'm going to read one DC comic, it's going to be Detective Comics, and it's much easier to pick up this run of Detective Comics from Tom Taylor and read it and only it as your only DC book. I mean, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because there's a lot of other great DC books as well. But if you wanted to do that, you could follow along with what's going on in this run of Detective Comics without needing to read anything else. So I appreciate that as well. I really, really love this story. Just when I think that Tom Taylor won't be able to give another great story. I mean, look at what we got with the Thomas Wayne story and the Joe Chill story to start.
Yeah.
That was great. And then we pivoted to the story about like courage and fear and with the lion or whatever. And that was great. It had roots in early Batman time and tied back into when he was Bruce Wayne and being a mentor for this kid who that kid had ties to Black Canary and Wildcats Gym and everything. And now we move to this, like, just incredible story arc after incredible story arc from Tom Taylor. Like, just what a great job. So, this was in my top 3 as well.
Yeah,
what were your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, easily in my top 3. This story is fantastic. It's funny. The last time Tom Taylor killed off a character so innocuously, like he kills Prion here, what are the odds Prion just gets hits randomly in the chest, and because of a rare condition, once in a lifetime hit, he happens to die from getting hit? It almost seems like that's what it enhances the tragedy of the loss of such a phenomenal character, the potential, and died sparring with Black Canary. It's so tragic. It reminds me of another. Tom Taylor did this once before. It was during his Injustice run. He killed off Nightwing in Injustice, where Nightwing literally tripped on a rock and hit his head and died. In the Injustice run. I mean, he died completely. He wanted, that was actually an in-story. It was totally tragic. He never died. All the horrific things that happened in Injustice. Nightwing tripped on a rock, hit his head, and he died. That's how he died. It was just a random, totally pointless, but yet significant death. But, underscoring the pointlessness of it all. So Tom Taylor's done this before. And to great effect in both cases, and in this case, there's no exception. One of the things at the end here is that the EMP device that Batman attaches to Rita, who is Prion's mother, was meant to disrupt anyone overhearing them on audio, as Batman says that. And then he plays a poem. He plays the same poem that Prion said to him in his dying breath. And what it was to release Rita from being a trigger memory, and the tragedy that this Rita has been 10 years trapped, 10 years another entity is basically, or she hasn't been in control of her faculties or her own body and her own mind for 10 years. There's a tragedy to that. But I love the fact that it shows the heroism of Prion, all these years later, through his last words in his dying breath. He says that poem to Batman, and Batman plays it back, and Prion still manages as partners to win the day and save his mother, bring his mother's memory back. And I love that there's something so redemptive about that and so heroic. And it's just beautiful. So even though Prion died so tragically, it was so uplifting and so powerful, that moment. And it just, I can see what Tom Taylor has pulled off masterfully is, I had mixed feelings about him introducing this new character and showing, early years of Batman. He was never with Black Canary and Green Arrow. Where's this coming from? But oh my God, this has been so beautifully written. It's so effortless. The characterization is so spot on. It's so well done, so well paced, and I care for Prion, and he's a character. Oh, Prion, no, you've left us too soon. I want more. But now I feel for his daughter. His daughter's manipulated, just like his mother was manipulated. So is his daughter. I want justice for Prion now too, and his daughter and his mother. And so Tom Taylor has managed to really pull me into a story where he literally killed off a significant character with a random punch. So, yeah. Easily my top three, and again, and the art again, fantastic art, and of course that's by Mikel Janin. So good stuff.
Yeah, and of course Batman remembered completely that phrase perfectly as
Yeah.
Brian's dying breath. So.
Of course he would. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple variant covers. Declan Shalvey one behind me, which is gorgeous, and then the middle one there is by Carmine Di Giandomenico. Okay, so that does it for the books that we're going to talk about in detail, but there are a couple of a lot of books this week because, a lot of San Diego Comic-Con exclusive or whatever. So there's an Absolute Batman 1 from J. Scott Campbell foil. There's an Absolute Batman 22 from Knights Comics. There's a Bill Sienkiewicz Absolute Batman 22. Absolute Green Arrow number 1, Rafa Albuquerque foil version. Absolute Catwoman, Jay Anceletto foil version, 2026 Terry Dodson foil version. So a lot of these are going to be available at people's booths. Some of them available at other booths. I mentioned the Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Batman, Absolute number 1, Jim Lee ones from Torpedo Comics. Eom has a Virgin variant. There's a Batman Dark Knight Returns number 1, San Diego Comic-Con Frank Miller foil variant. There's a Bleeding Hearts number 1 from Eric Zawadsky foil variant. There's a DC Sonic the Hedgehog Metal Legion 1 San Diego Comic-Con variant. So, your best bet, honestly, is to download Key Collector app or look on the Key Collector app where you can get these at the show if you're going to be there. Because Daniel Warren Johnson's got a Lobo number 1. There's a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 1. Lennox San Diego Comic-Con variant. So yeah, just a ton of variants because of Comic-Con. And then there are some collected editions this week as well. So Suicide Squad is getting a DC Finest, the Nightshade Odyssey trade paperback, collecting that crossover from back in the day. Deadman is getting a Kelly Jones, the complete collection trade paperback. The Flash by Joshua Williamson is having its third omnibus, which I think finishes up the Joshua Williamson run. We've got Firestorm, which is the Nuclear Man United We Fall trade paperback. That I want to say collects. I'm just going to look it up so that I make sure I get this right. But yeah, that's collecting the Firestorm, the Nuclear Man stories from Legends of Tomorrow 1 through 6. So the interesting thing about that is that was Jerry Conway coming back to the character. Jerry Conway, who created the character. So that's definitely worth reading. Milestone Compendium, number 5, trade paperback, collecting a bunch of the Milestone stuff. Nightwing, Volume 3, the Cirque de Sin hardcover, which is collecting the first arc of the... It's available in hardcover and softcover, I should say. And that's collecting the Cirque de Sin, the end of the Cirque de Sin story that was Dan Waters with Dexter Soy on art. So those are the collected editions this week. Those are some of the exclusive DC San Diego Comic-Con books. So tons of great DC content out this week. All right, I think you went first last week, Rocky, so I'll fire away with my rankings. Starting at number 14, we both mentioned it would have been much higher had it not been reprint material, but I've got Dark Knights of Steel, Heir to the Sea number 1 at 14. Then at 13, I've got Harley Quinn 64. Coming in at 12, I've got Absolute Wonder Woman number 22. At 11, Justice League Unlimited number 21. At number 10, Zatanna number 4. Coming in at number 9, Green Lantern 37. My number 8 book is Swamp Thing 1989 number 4. At 7, I have Peril of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Cain Mystery issue number 6. At 6, just missing my top 5, is The Flash number 35. And then at number 5, I've got Superman, Father of Tomorrow, issue number 3. At 4, Action Comics number 1100. At number 3, Detective Comics number 1111. Number 2, this was so tough for me. These top 3 books are so tough to rank. But at number 2, I've got Absolute Superman number 21. And at number 1, I've got Superman issue number 40. Yeah, again, I just think it's such a great celebration of comics from Joshua Williamson. I had to put it at number 1. So how about you? What are your rankings?
Yeah, my rankings are coming in at number 13, Harley Quinn 64. At number 12, Justice League Unlimited, number 21. At 11, Swamp Thing 1989, number 4. Coming in at number 10, Zatanna 4. Number 9, Superman, Father of Tomorrow, issue 3. Coming in at number 8, Green Lantern 37. Coming in at number 7, Peril of the Brutal Dark, Ezra Klein Mystery, number 6. Coming in at number 6, also as Flash 35. Coming in at number 5, Action Comics 1100. Coming in at number 4 was Superman 40. Number 3, Absolute Wonder Woman 22. Coming in at number 2 was Absolute Superman 21. And coming in at number 1, just impressed the hell out of me, was Detective Comics 1111 by Tom Taylor. It blew me away. I just absolutely loved it. Extremely impressed with it. And and honorable mention to the reprinted Dark Knight's Heir to the Sea. Also written by Tom Taylor, I think. But
yeah, absolutely. So great week of DC Comics, everybody. Again, make sure you're following this Comic Source on social media. You want a free Comic Source Weekly t-shirt, find me at the show. Tell me that secret phrase. Appreciate everybody joining as always. If you're listening audio only, remember all the Comic Source content is available on whatever podcast platform or feed you use. Just look for the Comic Source, do a search, and subscribe. You have thousands of episodes to go back and listen to. But if you have found us audio only, please keep in mind that most of the Comic Source content is going to come out on the Comic Source YouTube channel. So head over there and subscribe, except for the DC Spotlight that comes out on Rocky's channel. Comic Space Boom, ! Every Tuesday, pretty much late Tuesday or early Wednesday, where we cover all the books. You can see the art. You can see our smiling faces every week. So be sure you head over there. Once you're there, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you know when the new books drop. So that's going to do it. Happy Comic-Con week to everybody. Try to keep you abreast of the news as it happens. And then obviously the week after, next week, I'll start dropping all the interviews I do at the show. And again, appreciate the support, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.